So, a question I've been asking myself lately is if we domesticated dogs or if they domesticated themselves. Thousands of years ago, well before any of us existed, we shared the world with one of the most powerful predators on Earth, the wolf. Today, the descendants of that same animal love getting pets from us and can't stand it when you leave the room for more than 5 minutes. And if you're watching this in the bathroom, gross by the way, your fur ball may even be at the door right now. From tiny ankle biters to the vocal huskies your neighbors have. You know who you are, Sharon. All of them share a common ancestor with the gray wolf. So who tamed whom? And which one of us benefited more from this? Well, to understand that, we must take a step back and travel to the end of the last ice age. When we look back at least 15,000 years ago, and possibly even as far back as 40,000 years ago, things were very different. There were huge ice sheets covering the northern hemisphere, and there was also a mammoth named Manny, a sloth named Sid, and a saber-tooth named Diego. Wait, wrong script. Sorry about that. Let's not get sued here. Anyway, this was a tough environment for both our ancestors and the gray wolf, mainly because there wasn't any chicken nuggets yet. So tragic. Humans at this time were hunter-gatherers, and we had to hunt down our food and forage for plants. Like the ever-elusive pizza tree. Someday I will find you. That is a promise. At this point, humans didn't live anywhere permanent. So basically, they were van life influencers. Obviously, this was a very difficult time, and humans were competing with wolves over the same food sources. So, of course, that made us rivals rather than friends. But often heated rivalries can turn into great friendships, much like Goku and Vegeta. Our friendship began by the two species slowly learning to tolerate each other. A few wolves started to linger near human camps to rummage through our garbage. Even back then, we liked to toss out a lot of stuff. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Anyway, our garbage was easy food, and at first, wolves likely kept their distance, though some of them were a little less frightened of humans. Over many generations, those less fearful and less aggressive wolves had better chances of surviving and passed on their traits to their offspring. Some scientists think this was self-inflicted and call it self-domestication. And this is where the question comes in of who domesticated whom. It took a long time, but these scavenger wolves started to change. They became less aggressive and more tolerant, like how a cat may tolerate you petting them for a short time. They weren't just changing on the inside either. Their skulls became smaller and their teeth less sharp, and they became a lot more social to humans. By this point, they were no longer wolves, but not quite dogs either. More like a beta version of the modern dog. One of the oldest confirmed dogs we ever identified in archaeology is a 14,000-year-old pup found in, and forgive me for this butchering of this pronunciation, Bonn Oberkassel, Germany. And I'm sure I butchered that really bad there. This pup was buried alongside humans, so we know by this time our relationship had evolved quite a lot. We were now companions, much like a weird version of Bonnie and Clyde, messing up the natural balance of the world. The rest of the animal kingdom was not prepared for this at all. Quick pause from future Adam. If you're enjoying this video and like this kind of content, hitting the like button or leaving a comment really helps the channel grow. I really appreciate all your support. Anyway, back to our story. This new relationship greatly benefited both dogs and humans, and made us much stronger than we ever would have been apart. For the wolves near humans, food became easy to obtain. For humans, dogs have a better sense of smell and hearing, so they could warn us of approaching dangers. Outside of our camps, they became huge helpers during hunts, since they could help us track and trap prey. At some point during this interaction, humans would start raising wolf pups directly, and even selecting the more friendly pups to let them have more offspring, thus strengthening the bond even further. Still no chicken nuggets though. Scientists studying domestication have discovered that selecting animals for friendliness can cause dramatic changes surprisingly quickly. One famous study that demonstrated this was the Belyov fox domestication experiment. In this experiment, researchers bred foxes based only on one trait, how friendly they were toward humans. Within about 6 to 10 generations, the foxes began showing traits normally seen in domestic animals. Their ears became floppy, their tails curled, they wagged when they saw people, and they even began seeking out human attention. These changes are similar to what likely happened when wolves gradually became dogs. As humans spread around the globe, dogs came with them to every new environment, though the variety of dog breeds we see today is very recent. Most modern breeds were developed within the last few hundred years through selective breeding. Humans did this to select and breed dogs for specific tasks, like herding, guarding, or hunting. This is why modern dogs look so different but can still interbreed with each other, and they all share the same ancestor, the gray wolf. Though we've clearly taken things too far with some breeds, like the bulldog, with how many medical issues we've given them. Anyway, the story of dogs is also a part of the story of humans. The truth appears to be that neither species did it intentionally, and neither knew what the long term effects would be. It was simply a partnership that arose naturally over time. And surprisingly, this has happened with other symbiotic relationships in nature as well, though that's a story for another time. Nature is weird but interesting, from the harsh frozen plains to your comfy couch. And of course, we finally have chicken nuggets. Now go give your dog a treat. Don't worry about the reason. They've earned it already. Anyway, that's just my take on this. There's a lot of research out there, which I do recommend that you go ahead and look that up on your own if you do have some time. I'm adding all my sources in the description below if you want to check that out. And I'm also adding a link to a book that I've written if you want to help support me some more, and if you want to feel free to check that out. As always, though, thank you for watching. What's that? You want to hear about cats too? Well, that's a story for another day.